My name is Rick Vaughn. I'm the Director of Community Relations with a focus on the Southern California region and Hawaii. And the name of the company I work for is Swinerton. I've been with the organization a little over 22 years now. What keeps me coming back is the culture and the people. I worked for a developer, Opus West, and I had met the lead estimator for the what was the Orange County office at the time at a luncheon, and we just started talking. He started banging on my door about maybe considering if I would consider coming over to Swinerton. About a year and a half of conversations later, I decided to come on over. I didn't even know I was going to pursue a career in the construction industry. I originally wasn't sure what I wanted to do in life, but I loved to build things. I always had a fascination. I had a room full of models, and I took some architectural courses. It eventually led to being introduced to the construction industry. Got my B license and tried running my own company. And then just kept getting reintroduced to new facets and new ways to stay in the industry. And here I am 40 years later. One, I wish more people understood that it's not just a grind. It's not just being in the field, that the industry is a business. And it offers a multitude of career pathways for people that have multitudes of interests. I mean, nobody gives thought to the fact that if you are a marketing major, that this business has a need for marketing people, or if you're an HR person, this business has a need for HR, amongst other things. You know, it's not just banging nails and digging trenches and being out in the field, albeit that's my beginnings. It was, there's a multitude of pathways for careers here. Having owned my own business, having no clear direction in life about what I wanted to do or how I was going to get there. I just knew I wanted to make money, and I knew I wanted to do something that satisfied, you know, an inside feeling. And so I ended up in the construction industry, and it does all of those. Remain vulnerable and open. This industry is constantly evolving, and if you come into it thinking you know all, you're just going to run into walls. Stay hungry, right? Because as the industry evolves, different career opportunities, different opportunities to work on different types of projects come about. So if you stay hungry, you stay open, that's probably the biggest habits or main habits that I carry. I always want something different, something new, something more, right? Which is ingrained in all of us. But if you maintain those habits and you maintain the habit of being patient and willing to learn, you'll grow. Interacting with people, right? It's probably the hardest part of our job, right? In construction, most things are defined, the laws, the rules, the designs, unless it's a design build, right? A lot of what's handed to us or put in front of us is outlined, right? But I love the fact that you get to work with people, and people with some great ideas. I just talked to one of our interns that utilized artificial intelligence because he was tasked with something and he wasn't sure where to start, but because of his background and his ability to use AI, he was able to generate something that just shocked me. I was old school. When I had to do what he was tasked with doing, I'd pull out a set of plans, I'd start reading through the plans and the specs and start making notes. In 5 minutes, he had a list that would have probably taken me maybe 20 minutes or a half hour to generate. My day-to-day starts with understanding what's happening with my family, right? But you generally know that ahead of time. I know where my family is going to be, so that worry is off my plate, right? I look at my emails before I go to bed. I look at my calendar before I go to bed, and that kind of lets me sleep knowing what is coming for me tomorrow. But after I do that, I wake up, show up for work, sit down, identify my plan, and then start going from there. Sometimes you get interrupted by phone calls, you'll receive a new email, but generally that's my day-to-day. I outline what I'm going to be working on. In my particular role and position, it's what can I do to bolster opportunities for new businesses, small businesses, diverse business communities. So I will typically outline what I'm going to do in that capacity for the day and what I need to prepare myself for events that are coming up. What motivates me more than anything is knowing that I'm going to go to work and perpetuate opportunities for people out there like myself who may be hungry and not have direction. I think what makes a company's culture great, first and foremost, is passion. How can you not be motivated, right? Or how can you not be encouraged if you're in a room full of passionate people? Even if you don't have their passion, it's infectious. If you're around people that are passionate about what they do, you start to feel passionate about your part in it, right? Your piece of it. So passion, probably first and foremost. Integrity, knowing that you're around people that are gonna do what they say, not just say something and then it drops. You can hear the marbles falling, right? And they leave. And then the leadership. It's important that the leadership is passionate about the direction they're trying to drive the organization, and that they have integrity and communicate that to the rest of the group. I think when you combine all that, the excellence tends to fall into place. Research, dig, educate yourself, use the, what do they say? Google is amazing, right? If you have a question about something, it's amazing how quickly you can find information through Google or the internet. So that's one way. Stay involved and engaged with organizations that are specialists at that, right? If there's organizations that teach and promote safety, engage yourself with them, because they're going to be at the forefront, right? If you're looking for new industry practices, there's a plethora of organizations and groups out there that provide that information. So you insert yourself and get involved with them. You may find that you are bringing information to the table they weren't aware of. So engage yourself with organizations and people that are doing that specifically. And that's one way to stay engaged with or up to date. A vet. A vet. My grandmother worked for the SPCA, and we were constantly being introduced to new animals, and seeing her passion and commitment and care for animals. I always thought I was going to be a vet. And I found out that vets go to school longer than doctors. And I said, I don't know if I can pass the doctor piece, so I know I probably not going to be up to the vet piece. And I was always inspired and encouraged to build things. So I think it was just a seed that was planted early, and it came out later in life. So. Be open, right? The opportunities that are available in this industry are available to anybody. And I mean that. This is one of the most forgiving and most open industries you can find, right? You can, things are changing in our world now, but you can have a challenged background. You can have challenges with your education. You can have challenges that with choices you might have made that sent you into areas that you may not have wanted to be in or have put you in situations. And this industry is probably the most forgiving of all the industries I'm in. You can have a very sordid background and still find a place in this industry. And you're gonna find people that are passionate about what they do. And you're gonna find also this industry is full of teachers. Most of the people that learn a skill or learn what's important or what's required in their program are anxious to teach other people about it. Hear what people have to say, and then step in their shoes. Take that view from a different lens, right? Don't just come at it with a hard perspective on your way is the right way, or there's only one way to do something. Listen to what people have to say, and you'll learn a whole lot. I was a young PM on a project for a major group, the Ogden Group. And I was responsible for collecting prices on a change order that was, because I didn't have an estimator any longer on the job for a change order. And I got my numbers, I went through them, I checked the numbers, I made sure that the scope was accurate. I got other bids and from multiple people for the scope of work. And I went to deliver it to the owner. I had done all the research, all the work. I had a binder full of all my backup for it. And the owner came in and asked me a question about the pricing, and I answered it. He asked me if I felt like these were the best numbers I could get for it, and I answered his question. He literally kicked back in his chairs, kicked his shoes off, and asked me the same question again. And I couldn't understand why he kept asking me the questions, and I got upset to the point where I reacted in a way that was very unprofessional, and I shouldn't have done it. And I got up and walked out the room after I thought about my response, thinking that was it. I was gonna get fired. So walked out the room, went and got my stuff, started packing it up. And my project executive at the time saw me leaving, came downstairs and asked me what was going on. And I said, well, I essentially just insulted the person that signs our paycheck, in my responses. And he said, I don't think you insulted him. I said, he told me that it wasn't the right response, it wasn't the right way. He said, but when he left the room, his response was, that guy's passionate, and he just wanted to make sure that I had done the research. He didn't see the binder. He didn't know what I had done. So it really changed the way that I received questioning in my life. Not just from a work standpoint, but just in my life. If people have questions, it's not because you haven't done your work. It's because they may not understand why you're responding the way you are. So be patient, and listen. It really changed the way I see things. I think it's going to affect anybody's health, and this industry especially. It's really a tough thing to do. The general industry population is up early and they finish late. And when you're up early and you finish late, by the time you get home, especially if you're on a distant project and you've got to travel for it, you're burnt, right? So the last thing you want to do is work. The last thing you want to do is answer questions. So it's taught me how to separate work and life better, right? And it's not really a challenge for me. It's part of the reasons why I've been here for 22 years. Swinerton has a acronym that's on all of our safety gear, and it's YF&Y. That stands for Your Family Needs You. But that's not just about job site safety. It's about mental wellness. It's about paying attention to the fact that your kid might have a baseball game, or your kid might have a function, or your spouse or your significant other might have a function that's important to them. If you communicate that to Swinerton, there's more energy placed towards making sure you're covered than trying to figure out how to keep you out of that family commitment. So it's the culture of the company, and it becomes part of your culture.